Hello, this is Mav, once again coming to you from the future of when we recorded this episode. As you might notice as you listen to this, we talk quite a great deal about the murder of George Floyd and the protests and riots that it sparked in America in its aftermath. What we don't mention is the subsequent murder of Rayshard Brooks. That hadn't happened when we recorded this episode. In a very real way, Black men are killed by the police faster than we can even talk about it. That said, everything that we say in this episode applies to that situation as well. Black Lives Matter. Please enjoy the rest of the podcast.
So I'm basically saying that it's going to take you, the people, to institute what you want, to educate the people in the communities, to educate the people everywhere what we want, what we design, what we need, to educate the people to the need for change, to educate the people to the basic political desires and needs of people as a whole.
If the racist white person, I don't mean the person who is examining his consciousness and so on, doesn't understand that he or she is also a race, it's also constructed, it's also made, and it also has some kind of serviceability. But when you take it away, I take your race away. And there you are, all strung out, and all you got is your little self. And what is that? What are you without racism? Are you any good? Are you still strong? You still smart? You still like yourself? If you can only be tall because somebody's on their knees, then you have a serious problem.
The Examiner made a report back here, the last Sunday's paper, that we were anti-white, that we hold no bones, this is a quote, pick no bones about being anti-white. This is a bold-faced lie. We don't hate nobody because of their color. We hate oppression. We hate murder of black people in our communities.
And I, for one, as a Muslim, believe that the white man is intelligent enough. If he were made to realize how black people really feel and how fed up we are without that old compromise and sweet talk. Stop sweet talking him. Tell him how you feel. Tell him what kind of hell you've been catching, and let him know that if he's not ready to clean his house up, he shouldn't have a house.
There's a social contract that we all have, that if you steal or if I steal, then the person who is the authority comes in and they fix the situation. But the person who fixes the situation is killing us. So the social contract is broken. And if the social contract is broken, why the fuck do I give a shit about burning the fucking Football Hall of Fame, about burning a fucking Target?
But in the final analysis, a riot is the language of the unheard. What is it that America has failed to hear? It has failed to hear that the plight of the Negro poor has worsened over the last few years. It has failed to hear that the promises of freedom and justice have not been met. And it has failed to hear that large segments of white society are more concerned about tranquility and the status quo than about justice, equality, and humanity. And so in a real sense, our nation's summers of riots are caused by our nation's winters of delay.
And welcome back to VoxPopcast, the weekly pseudo-academic roundtable of pop culture analysis with drinking and swearing. My name is Christopher Maverick, but you can call me Mav, and I am once again here with, I'm here with none of my regular co-hosts this week. We're going to do things a little different from our regular show format today. This show is usually about pop culture. Usually for us, that means movies, comics, TV shows, books, games. But culture is a lot more than that. Culture is about zeitgeist. It's about media. It's about what's going on in the world around us. And if you've look at the world today for about the last 2 weeks, you know that America's on fire. We've referenced it at the beginning of the last couple of shows in the bumpers, and I said that we were going to do a show devoted to that. Well, that's this week. So on May 25th, a 46-year-old black man named George Floyd was killed by police in Minneapolis, Minnesota during an arrest attempt in broad daylight in front of a ton of witnesses. People filmed it on their cell phones. The cops tried to cover it up. The tapes got out. The world watched. And now for the last 16 days, as we tape this, we live in a world of constant protest as people seek not only justice for George Floyd and countless others like him, but also to reform the system that allows this to happen in the first place. So along with these protests, quite frankly, there's been a fair amount of rioting and some other civil unrest. And I, for one, say good. If you've ever listened to this show before, you know that I'm really opinionated and I talk a lot. Partly this is because of ego and vanity, but also it's because I think I have a lot to say. A white friend of mine paid me a huge compliment on Facebook the other day. They posted something to the effect of, I spent the last 48 hours arguing with people who don't believe in systemic racism. It's exhausting. How the hell does Mav do this all the time? That made my day. But the truth is, it is exhausting and I'm tired. If you have other black friends, they're tired. So as tiring as this is normally, it's been taken to about the 10th power this last couple of weeks. A lot of times I hear black people say, it's not my job to explain racism to white people. And it's not. They're right. But it is my job. But I chose it to be my job. And someone needs to do it. But I'm not alone and I can't do it alone. So another white friend of mine asked me a couple of days ago, I want to help, but as a white person, I really don't know what to do. How can I be a good ally? And she had a good point. So welcome to the struggle, Amanda. She's listening, I'm sure. So since this show is about culture, and at least for right now, culture is talking about racism in America ad nauseum, I thought that's what we would devote the show to today. So this is going to be a little different. It's going to be relaxed just like always, but fair warning, it's quite possible you might hear an N-word or two dropped. You know, that's us. We're allowed. You're not. But I went on top of my house and I turned on my black signal. And yes, I have one of those. And I asked some of my black friends who are also outspoken on the internet to join me. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about racism and how it works and what it's like to be a black person trying to fight racism on the internet. So let me introduce some of my friends. Some of them have been here before and some of them are new. So we're going to start with the ones that have been here before. First, I'd like to welcome back one of my colleagues at Duquesne, Caitlyn.
Hello.
Caitlyn.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's been like 2 whole weeks since you were on the show.
I know. I just enjoyed myself so much the first time I had to come back.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And we also have returning Marcel Walker. Hey, Marcel.
Hi, Mav. Hey, how are you?
I'm tired.
Tired. That's the answer.
That's kind of what's going on. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you for having me back. I appreciate you asking me to contribute to this particular conversation because I can get more timely than this.
All right. Now we got some new people. So I'm going to go down the line. First, we have Derrick Weston. Hey, Derrick.
Hey, put me on.
Thanks for coming. And Derrick and I, well, we know each other from TheoCon. Tell people who you are, just so people.
Yeah. So Derrick Weston, I'm out here in Baltimore. Mav and I met at TheoCon. I was doing on redemptive themes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Then Mav and I got to be on Church of the Geek together to talk about Harriet. So I'm happy to be here talking black stuff with you again.
Thanks. And this is Jameel al Khafiz. Jameel is my former roommate. Hey, Jameel.
Hey, what's up?
What up?
Ev and I met back in 1993, and we both had the Black CMU experience, which is a thing, let me tell you.
And last, we have Anthony Kingdom James Ruttgaizer. What the fuck is your name, dude? Anthony Ruttgaizer.
Whatever, man.
Hey, Kingdom.
Hello, everybody. I'm bringing my view tonight from north of the border up here in Canada. And let me tell you something. Y'all are tearing your country in half, and it's both frightening and entertaining.
And long deserved, frankly.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's about time. And once you're done, I think we just started on tearing ours in half. But same shit's going to happen up here.
So like I said, these are a bunch of my black friends. And I have other ones too, but yeah. But one of the things that I think is amazing, because this is where I want to start, being a black person on the internet who inserts himself into lots of conversations about, well, racism doesn't exist. I don't see color. My first, and this is where I'm just going to start the show, because my biggest pet peeve is people try to shut down this conversation frequently. These are MAGA type people who are not listening to this show, but so fuck them. By every time I say something, well, Martin Luther King would be disappointed in you. One individual that Kingdom and I know personally loves this tactic, and it's like, well, I know Martin Luther King wouldn't say this because I've got this here meme that says Martin Luther King loved America. and he's used the same meme to be against these riots that he has used to be against the kneeling protest, because Martin Luther King would have never stood for kneeling for the national anthem because he was an American hero. And so there's two problems here. First off, is an idiot. This person, he's wrong. He's an idiot. He doesn't know anything about Martin Luther King. And second, and more importantly, as I've pointed out, recently to people who have done this, my name's not Martin Luther King. I ain't him. I don't have to do what he said.
Yeah. The other thing I love about the argument of don't riot because Martin Luther King was for peace is they killed that motherfucker too. They shot him right. So if you're so invested in the peaceful protests, then why can't Colin Kaepernick get a fucking job?
Yep.
Okay, why can't Kaepernick? And I've recently been tuned into the knowledge that as much as I hate Roger Goodell at this point, it's not Roger Goodell's fault that he actually petitioned the owners again and again to let Kaepernick back into the league.
Yeah, he wanted it to go away, and that seemed to be the easiest way. They don't want him. Nobody wants the responsibility of dealing with it.
It's the fucking owners. It's the owners of the NFL, which is why you'll never see my black ass in front of an NFL broadcast again. But if you're for peaceful protest and Kaepernick's a son of a bitch, and of course, violent protests. Well, the current peaceful protests are met with police action.
Yep.
Action, quote unquote, action, police action, kind of like the way the Korean War was a police action.
Legit.
And you don't like riots. What you're really saying is there is no proper way to protest if you're black. We just want you to shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Yeah. You don't want equality from us. You just want silence from us.
And that's kind of been my experience. Now, the thing is, if you've listened to this show before, and if you know me personally, like these people do, I ain't so good at shutting up. It's not one of my strong suits. I don't mind that. It's just, but that's. I don't want to make, and we're intentionally not using his name, but I don't want to make the entire show about Kingdom and my friend.
Former.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, I went on a campaign last week where I just started clearing people, not out of my Facebook, but out of my fucking life. Uh-huh. If I've known you for 25 years, and over the last couple of years, I can't convince you that the things that you are saying and retweeting and that you're wrong. You need a new way to look at things. If you're going to steadfastly stick to your I know everything philosophy, and get the fuck away from me. I'm done. Some people don't want to learn.
Yep, you don't need that shit.
And that's kind of what it was. So this individual, this came to a head, on at least this particular part, I guess, what was it, 2 weeks ago, when all of the protests started, and there were a couple of riots, and it was no, this is wrong. Here I have this Martin Luther King meme, and me explaining to him, you don't understand what you're talking about. Like, I literally tried to point him. Now, I've previously pointed him at Letters from the Birmingham Jail, which he's never read. I pointed him at Other America this time, which literally talks about why you don't blame the rioters. This is the natural thing. He's like, well, he never said that. And I'm like, here is a videotape It's an hour long of the speech. Well, he's not talking about and then I can't remember if it was him or was somebody else. No, when he says riots, he just means the voice. When he's saying the riots is our language on the herd, he means, people making joyous noise. And I'm like, no, he means rots. He means the Watts riot. Again, he says so on this YouTube video, which you can just watch because that's how cameras work. And he argued with me. He argues with Kingdom. He decides he wants Kingdom on his podcast to debate. Kingdom gets fed up with him and blocks him. So then he asked me to do it because all black people were interchangeable. And
I need you to know, though, I didn't. It was one of there's a few people that I had already unfriended or unfollowed on Facebook that were just peripheral people from when I lived in Pittsburgh. And it was I already knew that, one guy who unfortunately at one point was dealing with cancer. And on his Facebook, he was arguing against Obama and the American Care Act. Okay.
God,
that's the kind of intelligence we're dealing with. So those are people that didn't mean anything and I could dismiss them anyways. There are two people in particular, including the one that Chris is talking about, who were deep friends of mine. And both of them, I actually took the time to send them a message and let them know, hey, we're done here.
Yes.
I can't deal with you not digging your heels in on things that you are wrong about. 2 + 2 does not equal 7, you motherfucker. So I gave them the benefit of the doubt, and I gave them the respect of saying, yeah, I'm sorry, we're done here. Now, what you don't know, Mav, is that after I told him we're done here, he said, okay, well, we can talk about this privately sometime. Not even understanding that we are done.
Oh yeah, no, I get it because 5 minutes after you told me that you'd done that, which I assume was right after it, when he texted me, hey, so I'm doing this podcast about racism. Why don't you come on? And I was like, I really don't want to do that. And I told him, you're impossible to argue with. You don't really want to learn anything, and it's not yes, I argue a lot in public because I'm trying to educate people, but there's no point. There's no win for me to go on a show listened to not by many people, all of whom have already made up their mind. Because it's not like there are people who are undecided who I'm going to flip on this. It's just going to be, me coming on and saying a bunch of words that you don't understand and not convincing you of anything. And I mean, the worst thing that could happen is, what if you suddenly become intelligent and out argue with me, which is not going to happen. So that's bad for me. There's no upside in this for me. So no. And then he's like, well, if you ever change your mind, you're always welcome. And he doesn't want to hear. He asked me because Kingdom wouldn't do it. And it doesn't really matter. He's looking for a black friend to point out and say, yeah, we all get along. We don't. We don't like you.
But I think that's where the exhaustion comes in. And I mean, I don't have any specific examples to that extreme, but in this past 2 weeks, anytime I've just tried to vent on social media about what I'm going through personally, all of my so-called white allies are just trying to slide into my DMs and applaud me for voicing the black frustration that I'm going through. I have friends.
You're so brave.
Right. I can post a picture of me crying saying sometimes brown people just have hard days. And then I have all these white allies are you good for you? And I'm yo, this is more exhausting. And then while I'm feeling these emotions, they're still posting these videos of what happened to George Floyd, what happened to Ahmaud Arbery, videos of people reenacting someone's knee on the back. So I'm just constantly being re-triggered while I'm dealing with pacifying I had one white girl, and I won't name names, but she texted me one day and she was like, it's so hard and tiring. And I was like, oh, are you okay? What's going on, friend? What's going on, white girl? And she's like, it's just really tough being an ally sometimes. And I know black and brown people go through this all the time, but I'm just tired. I'm like, bitch, me too. So, and I think even those who think that, they're advocating for Black Lives Matter, they don't get it, right? They just don't get it. And I think that's where the exhaustion continues. And you can't tell them like, hey, can you stop posting these pictures of George Floyd's face? I don't need to continue to see this dead man's face. Like, I'm dealing with this on my own and I'm in the streets protesting. That's where I need to see you. I don't need to see this on your Instagram story, friend.
You has anybody here worked up a copy and paste or to answer text messages with "How you doing?"
What color is your heart today?
It's like, yeah, it's like you know what, you didn't answer me last week when I said, "How are you doing, white person?" that was just hey, hello. Now it's how you doing? Is your soul okay?
I'm so glad
Are you about to sing a song to me?
I have a specific and I recognize that. I know you all are going to understand all this. I have a lot of white friends, like a lot, and the way my life is unfolded, I've been surrounded by a lot of white people. I mean, some of that is, from where I've gone to school. Some of that is where I've worked, all of that. So I have, and I've made a lot of friends in a lot of those places and I've kept them. None of which I apologize for, but I'm surrounded generally by a lot of white people. So it's all unfolds. And I know, and I knew, and something like this happens. And all of these white friends are made to remember what black people are dealing with out there in the world. Their minds go to their black person, which is me.
Right.
And then you start getting all those messages and those texts. And, who doesn't want to know that there are human beings out there in the world that are concerned for your safety? That part, that's good.
Because, we're making fun of you. By the way, so white people know when you're not around, we make fun of you. This is what we do. But
make fun of them when they're around nowadays.
That's true. Yeah. But it's,
you know what?
It's not that
like, years you got to deal with that.
Right. It's not that that we even think that, like, yes, your heart's in the right place. It's sincere. And I even appreciate people being concerned, am I okay or not? But here's the deal. In all honesty, I'm 45 years old. There have been more days than not in my life where something racist has occurred. And quite frankly, George Floyd is not the first black man I've ever seen murdered on film. It's not like there's no good way to answer that question. Yes, I appreciate your concern. However, it's not that like I'm more or less okay than I was yesterday. It's that today is a day where you got to see a black man murdered in front of you. Not my first.
I had one person who messaged me, and I hate to admit this, but I was miffed at them for a very specific reason. It was because I had sent them a message a couple weeks prior, literally just checking in on them because, that thing that led into all this, the COVID-19 sheltering, I realized, this is a friend who lives relatively close to me. And I'm a neglectful friend. I haven't checked to see if they're okay. Sent them a message, didn't hear from them. Now, to be fair, not everybody, and people don't just owe me responses, like who knows what was going on. I checked in and didn't hear anything. I'm like, all right. And this all happened and that person got back to me. It's like, why does it take a brother being choked out before I hear from certain people?
There's kind of a gift horse in the mouth kind of thing to this, though, because I have not, other than you guys right here and right now, maybe my brother, I have not said anything about, man, I'm just getting all these messages left and right about people and how are you doing? Because in the grand scheme of things, I would rather have those people who are checking in on me just to see how their black friend is doing, acknowledge the fact that now, hey, I'm paying attention to that shit. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's good. Okay. Yes. You need me to point you to a resource?
But I think the problem is like how our white friends were prompted to check in on us. Like, I mean, you got to think about it, right? Like there are so many like memes and articles about like how to be a better ally. And number one on that list is check in on your friends.
Yeah.
Right. And so all of these people who are trying to do research about how to be better allies initially are conditioned to be like, hey, check on your friends. Like, ask them what color their heart is. Ask them how you can support them. And like, ask them for book recommendations. Man, I'm working on my PhD right now, and my entire list is African-American authors. I can't get a single goddamn book because of all these fucking articles going out. Like, thank God I built my library like 2 years ago, because this has just been, I think, again, that adds to the exhaustion, right? Like, it's full circle.
I want to write just a completely foolish list of what you should do, what white people should do during this time now. It's like,
go viral.
Offer your black friend sunscreen. They can too.
It's funny you say that. One of my white friends asked, she was like, hey, I'm putting together this Google Doc for Pittsburgh in like terms of resources. And I looked and there was like a really short list. And so in the kids section, I was like, cool runnings, Bay's kids, like Friday. Like, these are all black. If you're going to say bye, Felicia, you need to do that extra work and know where that reference comes from.
I love all those movies, but that's not, no.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
One of the things that would make all of this better is that if every one of those messages came with $50.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah, I can use $50, especially $50 American.
Hey, Derek, how are you doing? Also, here's some cash. The other thing that this is
reparations.
Let's make it happen. Like, the other piece that's really been funny to me is, like Marcel said, I've also, just because of school life, career choices, I have a shit ton of white friends. And if anyone would like some, I'm willing to part with a few. And
enough. Thank you.
I live in Canada, man. I'm all stocked up on white folks.
I had someone who I went to high school with. I'm 40 now. Who said, I have other black friends, but Derek, you're my closest. So, and then ... I'm like, I'm your closest black friend. We graduated school 22 years ago. We were marginal friends. And I'm your closest black friend.
Okay, so what's your point? That's something that's important for people to know. Like, yes, okay, all of us have white friends. With the exception of Kingdom, we all live in America. I don't know what the racial makeup of Canada is, but it ain't exactly, Tanzania. So in America, like 12% of the population's black. Okay, if you know me, like regardless of how close of a black friend I am to you, I will grant to you, if my wife is white, and if she says that I am her best black friend, okay, fine. If I'm literally having sex with you, sure. Okay. but for everybody else, I assure you, like, while I may be your best black friend, I have better white friends. It's nothing personal against you. It's just that we know a lot more. Like, right. We just know a lot more white people than black people. And again, that's okay. Like, we're not exactly even trying to tell people that you're bad. It's sort of weird because, like, for all the people that we're making fun of right now, the people that we're really mad at right now, like, because we're going to get into this in a second. I've spent a lot of time these last 2 weeks just relentlessly arguing with people who, I don't see color. I don't know why everybody's making this about whether it's racist. We'll get to that. Before we get into that, though, I just want to point out we did have another black friend just joining us on CP time, as I said I would say. Shayna Watson. Hey, Shayna.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. You were actually here first, but had internet problems that we just got fixed. So you're joining the broadcast already in progress. But Shayna, I just want to let people know who you are. I also know you from the same place I met Derek, which was the TheoCon.
Sure. Thank you for having me. I apologize for the technical difficulties. My laptop is down. Yes, my name is Shayna. I am a full-time priest in the Episcopal Church, and I met Chris Maverick, aka Mavs, through our geeky, nerdy connection of finding the intersectionality of faith and fiction in an event that I do called TheoCon, where theology meets pop culture.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, the TheoCon, half academic conference, half, or I guess third academic conference, third theological conference, third comic book geeky convention.
That's a hell of a thing.
Yeah, it was. You would have been able to go. There's supposed to be one in 3 months here, except that there's a global pandemic, so we're not doing that anymore.
Just in the air, so we ain't doing it.
Yeah. But yeah, so but anyway, yeah, Shayna, we were just discussing. Well, we spent a little bit of time discussing the concept that you're probably if you're somebody's Black friend. It's very important for them to understand that you're probably a lot of people's Black friend. And again, not a bad thing. It's not criticism. Just, think about I can only imagine. I'm trying to think of something, a relatively, certainly we live in a world where women are not necessarily treated as well as men. And sometimes bad things happen to women. And can you imagine if every time a woman was murdered on the news, I just called every woman I knew and said, "So how are you doing? Are you okay with this?"
I've been getting those emails and inboxes. As much as I feel the love, everyone's like, "So what can we do for you?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Like all of these.
Just before you got here, Derrick was suggesting $50.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Reparations. I love that idea.
I was talking with my girlfriend earlier this week about pizza. Imagine if every Black person in America just was from not just like now, just like perpetual, like you could just get free pizza. I would take free pizza.
I feel the sudden urge to quote "Do the right thing, man." Hey, Black Panther eats pizza. We eat pizza.
If we have just a second, I wanted to touch on something before we get far away from it. We were talking about Martin Luther King Jr., how like that gets back up to kind of deflect. When people of color, when we have something, when Black people have, when we're expressing anger, how that gets brought up. I had an instance several months ago. I was attending an anti-Semitism conference. I work for the Holocaust Center of Pittsburgh. I was attending an anti-Semitism conference, and were breakout sessions. And I attended a breakout session where they were discussing the book Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And I felt like I have to be a part of that discussion. I want to hear what is discussed. I need to be in the room for that.
Sure.
So I'm in the room. There was maybe 15 people there, mostly white folks. But I will say it was a pretty diverse group. You had different all sorts of representation there. 2 or 3 Black folks, including myself. But discussion goes around, and I didn't have a whole lot to say at first. Everybody's read the book, so that much was good. It was interesting to hear what was being said. Now, but the thing I wanted to mention, there was one gentleman who was attending that session who, when we got on the subject of, there's a passage in the book where Coates talks about having been in a situation where he was with his son in a neighborhood in New York where a woman was more aggressive with his son. His son was like 10, and the woman was white, and it was a predominantly white area. And he could tell she was using her whiteness basically to bully her son in that moment. And he was protective. In that moment of being protective, he could tell he was actually, unfortunately, endangering his son just by trying to protect him.
By being too much of an angry Black man.
Exactly. Like he could feel the energy of the crowd turning on him for daring to be angry at this woman. So we're discussing this passage because later on, Coates is apologizing to his son in the text of the book, because the book is basically written to his son, and he's apologizing to his son for having put his son in that position. But if you know what he's saying there, he's even saying he's not necessarily saying he did something wrong, but he's sorry that his son had to be in that moment and present for that, and that the world is the way it was. We had one gentleman in that group got so hung up on that passage, and he was really challenging what Coates was saying in that moment. Like he was really trying to stress that was a genuine apology, coach knew that he had acted incorrectly by expressing anger and the threat of potential violence. I got to tell you, you could feel the energy in the room towards this guy shift. Everybody, they were just, you got this wrong. That's one instance where I piped up and I cut him off. And I said, for your own good, I'm going to stop you talking right now. Because you are not getting what this is about. And, after the session was all done, he came up to me, wanted to talk. And, I thought, well, what in the world? This is like probably this nice guy, this well-intentioned guy. Boy, does he not understand how not allowing Black people to just be angry.
Yes.
It's one of the worst things you can do. Let us just be angry sometimes. It's okay. And actually, it's good for white people to just accept that sometimes we will be angry. Them.
Turns out Black people are human beings. I know, it's weird.
It's when. I just want to interject with this because it came up rhetorically, but I did look up the demographics for Canada versus the United States. Wikipedia. Including biracial people, the Black population of the United States is hovering around 13%. What is it? 14, just under 14%.
Wow. Okay.
In Canada, that was 2017. In Canada, 2016 statistics, 0.5% nationwide.
2.5?
3.5.
3.5. Wow.
3.5% Black nationwide. My brother lives in Prince Edward Island, which is the smallest of the Canadian provinces. It's a little island on the east coast, Nova Scotia.
I didn't know you could even see that.
My brother,
I thought that was
according to these statistics, my brother is one of 400.
Wow. I didn't know there were more than 400 people in all of Canada.
Next episode is going to be anti-Canadian hatred from Americans.
Hatred, I envy that. What are you talking? That's great.
Our border is closed to you people right now, and yeah.
Wait a minute. What do you mean, you people?
I said you people. I said you people.
That's it.
Filthy Americans.
I could just see Kingdom running for prime minister we're going to build a wall. It's going to be a great wall.
And the U.S. is going to pay for it.
Somehow
absolutely.
I am not paying for it, and I am not giving up my free pizza. I'm sorry.
What I think we want to get across here is it's a question that comes from the right place, there in your heart. But when people are saying, how do I be a good ally? It's not. I don't want to say it's disingenuous because I know you mean it. But the answer to that really, be a good person and listen, listen and learn. But also, Black people are we're not a unilateral monolith. So when people like the Idiots Kingdom and I were talking about before do Martin Luther King said this. The reason they're saying that is because, Martin Luther King, Black Jesus, he said this. So all Black people, because you worship Black Jesus, must believe this one thing that I read on this T-shirt. Again, I'm not Martin Luther King. As we pointed out, they shot that man in the head for his beliefs. I would like to not be shot in the head. So I have kind of a different philosophy on certain things. But even to the extent that I do believe some stuff that Martin Luther King believed, I also believe some stuff that Malcolm X believed, some stuff that, there's a that, hell, I believe stuff that Farrakhan believed. Not all of it.
Malcolm X, they shot him too.
Yeah, they shot. Yes. So and there's a lot of we're not necessarily the same. So one of the things that I saw a lot where people were like, the writing doesn't make sense. You're burning your own neighborhoods. You're burning your own stuff. Okay, I don't own a Target. I don't own a Target. I don't own a store, a corner store in the grocery store. If I burn something, it does not belong to me. Maybe it belongs to white people. maybe it belongs to black people. Maybe it belongs to Korean people. If you grew up in a black neighborhood, there's a Korean store. It's a thing. Don't worry about it so much.
And they sell hair.
They sell hair and cigarettes.
Newports, to be exact.
Newports and little medallions that have Africa on them. That's where you get your Africa medallion and your sunglasses at the Korean store.
Oh, they still make that?
Oh yeah, they're all over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You ain't been to the Korean store in a while, so you need to go.
Move.
You used to have several of those in downtown Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
they might be in
until they gentrified them away.
Here's what is in the midst of getting gentrified. All the Korean stores moved.
Yeah,
yeah, they're still in Braddock Hills.
Yeah. Anyway, but the thing is, I'm not even saying it's good for those people to burn down their store. I don't think it's good for the Target people to burn down their store. But when you're saying you're burning down your own stuff, no, we're not. Like, first off, it's not a conscious decision. There was not a black meeting. We didn't get together and we said, well, they killed George, guys. You know what that means? So here's the 17 buildings we're going to burn today. That's not how it works. People got mad and a riot happened, and it's tragic and it's bad. But when you say they are burning down their own stuff, that is othering again. It's splitting off the black community. It's saying the blacks over there are burning their own thing. They're not hurting us. They are hurting them. And like, you're doing that separation. And the reason we were pointing out the sort of, the how are you doing? How's your heart? I don't need my friends, no matter how well intentioned, to also sort of segment me off from the, how am I doing? How are you doing? You just saw a man murdered on television. Again, I've seen that before. So like
when Pitt wins a football game,
yeah,
and they burn Oakland, no one says the white people are burning their own stuff. That never comes out of anybody's mouth.
Right. It's over a football game. It's, riots happen. It's bad. But there's good stuff that comes from them too. It's emotion and it's hard and it's a complicated thing, but don't try to simplify it and silence people. But also don't do that when you're helping either. Right. Because Jameel has seen this. I don't know if anybody else has. Got into an argument the other day with some well-meaning but not really white people who are high school, and I'm using the scare quotes, just like when Kingdom and I were talking about our friend. These are friends of my wife, high school friends of hers, whom she doesn't like very much, didn't like very much then. They are massive Trump supporters, and they were doing why do you have to make it about race? It was just it's awful that the police killed a man, and we should be focusing on that. But also rioting is also wrong, and it just everything was. But rioting is wrong. Why can't we talk about the riot? And I challenged this woman. I was just like, can you say that it's tragic that the police killed a black man without bringing up the rioting? Just say it's tragic they killed George Floyd, and just say that without bringing up the rioting. And her answer to me was, but the rioting is wrong because don't you see that you're burning your own stuff? And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, lady. Just like, and by the way, for the longest time, and she didn't notice it, but this was hilarious because Jameel came in late. But this argument went on Facebook for probably about 2 hours before Jameel showed up. And she never I was the only black person in this argument about race riots, and she never acknowledged me. She answered every fucking other person in the thread. And she's like, huh?
It was wild.
Yeah. And she's like, well, my eyes are bad. I just didn't see. And I'm just like, fuck you. My text isn't any smaller than anybody else's. Like,
hey man, she doesn't see color.
Right.
She literally doesn't see color.
Right. And it was a lot of, and it just went on and on and on. And then in my favorite part, she's like, well, I don't even like the word black. I wish you'd stop calling yourself that because it sounds demeaning. And I'm like, what? Fuck you.
I got to tell you, you have more stamina than me because I don't even have 2 minutes in me anymore to talk to a lot of people. Like I legitimately, when we say my black friend is tired, I don't even have 2 minutes to deal with fools like this anymore. Yeah. But I you know what? So regarding me being tired, let me tell you. So I noticed when I was doing some internal surveying after the Floyd video surfaced and everything started happening and the first protest started, And the thing is, like you said earlier, this is far from the first instance we've seen in our lifetimes of this. And, this is just, it's perpetual. But I've been noticing more and more a certain feeling that I've had, or I should say have not had. And I've really been trying to study it and work it because I felt the best way to describe it is detached. What's going on? I saw an interview recently. It was with Leslie Jones. She was on Late Night with Seth Meyers, and they're old colleagues, so they talk like friends. They're friends. And Leslie Jones is about our age. Right. We're all in that same vicinity. We're all floating around 50 years old. I turn 50 later this year. I'm actually a little mad about that I'm turning 50 in this year because a lot of this stuff needs to be resolved because I want hugs and I want presents and I want stuff. And I made it to 50. I have no criminal record. I have no illegitimate. I want stuff. But anyway.
I hate to break it to you, man. I don't know.
He was talking about how when the Rodney King thing went down and there was the protests and riots out there, like she was right there. She said she was in LA in the middle of all that. And she joked about how she had a sledgehammer and she was going at businesses. And she said there were people who were cheering her as a hero because they were trying to get into stores. And there was one in particular, she took that sledgehammer, bam, hit the chain. They were in the store. And she was like, she was in it. And she said, there was no way you could have told her at 22, 23 years old, she shouldn't be out there in that, doing that. No way you could have told her. She said, and then the next day she walked through the neighborhood and she surveyed it. She had some regrets. And she said, and now she's 52 years old. It's not where she's at, as far as going out and doing that. And I felt such kinship with her with that because a number of reasons, some of which are relating to be just totally think about it. My health. I have not engaged in any of the protests recently. But I just have not had it in me. I've been tired mentally and physically, and I just couldn't engage. But I've actually felt bad. Like, why am I not more fired up to do that? Why am I not more engaged? You know what? I'm glad you said it because you took the words verbatim right out of my mouth. Black people are not a monolith, and there is no one response that we all have to have in unison. And that includes levels of being angry or our levels of being fatigued or our levels of being hopeful or resigned. I want us to have discussions about, and it doesn't have to be this discussion because we've covered a lot of ground and there's even more, but is it okay for us to laugh?
Well, before we get to that, I just want to point out just another one of the monolith things. I want to give you a good example that I think that, it's really easy to sort of pick on the MAGA idiots, but they don't listen to my show. So, it's just fun. It doesn't really accomplish anything. But, I said at the beginning of the show, one of the points was that made me want to do this show was somebody asked, well, how can I help? What can I do? And we're not a monolith thing's important because I'm gonna contradict Caitlyn, whom I love, by the way. But Caitlyn, you said something earlier that, you don't want to see constant pictures of George Floyd. Here's where Caitlyn and I differ. I love that his face is everywhere. Like when I had white friends and Asian friends, actually, who are probably listening to this. I saw a conversation and one black person, but who wasn't me. Jameel, you were in this conversation. You know who I'm talking about. When Floyd died, stop showing that. You're basically showing a snuff film. It's never going to change white people's minds. It's triggering for black people. And I just jumped into the conversation and I was like, fuck that. Emmett Till. Emmett Till is why I want George Floyd's picture being murdered on every Facebook wall, every Twitter account, Tumblr, Instagram, put that shit from here to the moon. I wanted to see it everywhere because my point was, and Jameel, you remember when I said this, I was like, no, I want this in people's faces. And yeah, it should be triggering. It should be depressing. It is, I want people to get pissed off and burn shit down. That's what I said. And they're like, well, that's never going to happen because they just love seeing this. Yeah. Fast forward 3 days, fucking country's on fire. And I'm like, yay. Now, here's where it's weird because I don't think Caitlyn's wrong. The difference is it bugged her it bugged me, and I decided that I wanted it to bug people. But we don't have to think the same way. We're different people. We have different perspectives. And, much like I don't agree with everything Martin Luther King said. Like, it's not like we talk about the black community. There is a black community. There's also a white community. Do you agree with everything every one of your white friends says? No. Now, there's a point where some people are just idiots, and I'll call them that, Candace Owens. But like we're gonna disagree on stuff, and that's fine. So respect the differences, and let us have different opinions. And like we said earlier, it's okay to be mad. Some of us are mad right now. Let me be mad or depressed or whatever.
Or one of the things that I think is going on, we were talking about the white friend check-in call is we were saying, how that portion of it, the how do I be a good ally? I think that is two questions in one. That is, how do I want to be a good ally? It's also, am I already a good ally? They're looking for and this is not meant as an attack, but they're looking for a report card.
Right. It's a little, I know probably most of the people who listen to my show hate this term, but it is an actual cultural theory term, which I'm going to use, which is virtue signaling. And that's what it is a little bit. It's like when you're asking that question, what you're really asking is, I'm not racist. You tell me if I were racist, right? Yeah, you're racist. Everybody's racist. I'm racist.
But I think that's the problem for me. And that's what I was trying to get at when I said I don't need to see George Floyd being killed over and over again because of the fact of who's circulating that. And
right.
People for me in my circle are the same people who have said very racist things to me, or I've seen do very racist things. And so, like, when do you get to pick and choose and say what is right and what is wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, when those people are circulating the same image or video, it's upsetting because it's like a further triggering of me feeling unsafe. Mm-hmm. When I saw Ahmaud Arbery be killed, my first initial reaction was, I have to teach this. Because for me, watching that particular video, it was watching a lynch video that could have been in the 40s or 50s or 60s or 70s or 80s. Like, it's an image that we all have seen. And like, when people make that argument of like, oh, racism isn't as bad as it was back then, it's like, no, this happened during the quarantine. And it happened back then.
Yeah, they saw a nigga running down the street and hunted him down, chased him like a dog, and shot him. And taped it. Like, remember, Ahmaud Arbery wasn't like taped by, like, that tape isn't from some person locally who's like, oh, I better get this. So like, this is them filming it themselves because they thought that was a good idea.
Telling on themselves.
It's the third man. Here's a hockey reference for you because I'm Canadian. It's the third man in on the fight. It's actually the fourth man in. It's their buddy. It's the Arthur, whatever their name is. It's their buddy who was joining them on their hunt. The reason that video was released is because that son of a bitch thought that it was going to exonerate his two friends.
Yep.
He thought that the video from his dashboard, which he also lied to police about because he said that he was in the truck with the son. The video of those two sons of bitches murdering Ahmaud Arbery, he thought that video was going to clear their names. That's the same as Amy Cooper in Central Park, the woman who strangled her fucking dog to call 911 on a black man.
She got that dog back too.
She got that dog back because the cops didn't want to step in and do anything. Here's the thing. She looked him in the eye, looked at his phone, filming her, and said to him, I am going to call 911 and tell them that an African-American man is threatening me.
Right.
She stated her intention like a goddamn Bond villain, thinking that even Even video evidence of me doing this won't stop the cops from coming here and beating your black ass. I'll still be right.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask y'all a question, though.
Yeah.
Let me ask y'all a question. If she had done that and gotten recorded, and if dude down in Alabama who recorded that murder, if either of them had actually gotten off, would any of y'all have been surprised?
No.
I was more shocked that it actually did something.
So that argument we were talking about earlier, Jameel, because I didn't even get into it. Like, one of the things what got them to notice me, because remember I said they weren't ignoring me for a long time. That woman kept going, well, I don't, the black people are rioting, you're burning your own stuff. And blah, 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 blah. And she's like, I don't think George Floyd would appreciate you doing that in his name.
No.
And so that's when so for a moment I got real black there. Because Jameel, you remember my response was, and I'm going to say this right here. So I said this, I typed it in a post that has since been deleted. So I'm going to say this publicly now, recorded on the internet, on my show, which I will post to the internet so that there's evidence. I'm an outspoken black man. I say some, insightful, but also inciting stuff from time to time. There is a non-zero chance that running my big mouth is going to get me killed someday. In the event that I am murdered by the police, I want you to understand, everybody listening to my voice, I fully support and in fact endorse you burning this fucking country to the ground in my name. Paint murals of me, carry signs. I will be a fucking murder. Okay, if I die, burn it all, burn the world. And the woman goes, well, that's just horrible. No, it's not. I'm telling you, if I am killed unjustly, if you get a videotape of just like, oh, look, they killed Mav, burn it all. Like, just start over, riot, go crazy. It's fine. Like, because she was like, well, do you think George Floyd would have wanted this? And I was like, I don't know George Floyd. I don't know what he would have wanted. I'm telling you what I want. She's like, well, that's awful. No, I'm telling you what I want. Do not let me die in vain. Burn it all.
Mav, if anything happens to you, I promise that it's going to be fucking happy hour in Pittsburgh, and it's going to be half price Molotov cocktails, motherfucker.
That's what I'm talking about. Not just Pittsburgh. Burn the world. It's fine.
And Sandra Bland. Two things. If I'm in jail, I am not suicidal. I will never kill myself. And two, if any of you accepts an apology from the police, do not do that in my name. I do not forgive them.
No. Right. It's kind of, but that's the thing. It's like, we joke around, and, I kind of picked people for this show who I knew could joke around, like that was intentional, but like we joke around because it's our way of coping. But at the end of the day, racism's not new for any of us. It isn't. So, we're going to deal with it in different ways. And God, the other thing that I've been dealing with so much lately is, well, rioting never solved anything. Fuck you. Rioting got you a country. Like the Boston Tea Party was a fucking riot. OK, that's what it was. Like, literally, like most cultural changes happen through violence. I've said in before, I actually hate people who are, the liberal thing since Trump got elected has been like, hashtag resist. But writing hashtag resistance is not resisting. This that we've been dealing with for the last 2 weeks, that's a resistance. Like, you've seen fucking Star Wars. That's what rebellion looks like. OK, like this is what it is. This is how things change. And, it's tragic and it's sad and it's hard. And yes, I get that. But like the idea that, well, nobody's going to listen to your message if you're writing, isn't there a better way? Yeah. A nigga kneeled on the sideline. Didn't bother anybody for 2 years, and you called him names that took away his career. That was the peaceful protest. That was it. Like, pay attention. And the guy that that Kingdom and I were talking about, that we were arguing with. He was just like, well, they should protest peacefully. You were literally posting memes of Martin Luther King would hate Colin Kaepernick and arguing with me, like with me personally over this issue. Like, I'm telling you, like, you didn't pay attention when Martin Luther King said a riot is the languages of the unheard. You didn't hear. He gave you years of Black Lives Matter, shut up, all lives matter, shut up, blue lives matter. No, you didn't listen. So now you haven't listened. So now you get a riot, and that's where things change. Martin Luther King hated rioting. Yeah, Martin Luther King didn't hate riots. He just wouldn't riot. Got shot in the head. There were 8 straight days of rioting across this country, 170 odd cities burned to the ground the week that Martin Luther King got killed. And you know what happened after that? They passed the Civil Rights Act just to make black people stop.
Yo, you know how much blackness James Brown had? He prevented one.
I want to hear it. Yeah.
One. And I'm pretty sure that used up all his negrosity for like a year.
Yeah, but it's,
sorry, I have to make a note and write down the word negrosity. I'm gonna be using that. And in exchange, because I don't know how much time we got left, I want to share a phrase that my brother shared with me a couple of days ago, so that you can take this and use it in your conversations. There are times where you're going to come up upon somebody who isn't a blatant racist, but ain't doing anything to stop it, which my brother coined the phrase, hey, listen, they're not going to burn a cross on your lawn, but if somebody is, they might check their pocket for matches.
Ooh. It's like, I ain't gonna pick this up.
Which, by the way, I used on my podcast to describe Candace Owens.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. Oh, Candace Owens.
We should talk before we're done. We should do a little bit on Candace Owens because this is
on her hands.
Yeah,
is ashes from a cross.
Yeah,
she's Steven from Django Unchained. She's Samuel L. Jackson's character from Django Unchained. She's living in the big house.
I want to. Well, it's not just okay. So here's one. People who've said, how can I be an ally? Here's what you can do. Here's how you can use your white privilege to help us. If you have a white friend who shares a Candace Owens meme or one of the videos, here, it's hard. Life's hard. We're all tired. And I understand that people, the beauty of social media is that you can sort of silo yourself off. You can create your bubble and you can get rid of the people. Kingdom, you were talking about it yourself. And I've never blocked anybody. I have never blocked anybody on Facebook or Twitter or anything. I've been blocked quite a few times, but I have never blocked anybody and I won't. But obviously I'm a crazy person. Okay. I'm insane, but I still get tired. So here's what you can do. If you have a friend who starts sharing Candace Owens stuff, don't defriend them. Don't block them. I just want you to be me and argue with them for 3 or 4 days. Just give it a good college chance. And just everything they say, do a little bit of research. You've got Google. It's not hard. You don't need a degree. Just like Google around. And if Candace Owens says something, it's probably wrong and it's probably really easy to refute. Don't just copy and paste memes. Just explain why everything that she says is stupid. You're not going to change their mind. That's not your job. Your job is to make your friend look stupid so that other people who come along say, this other person is making a lot more sense and the friend looks stupid. So maybe they're stupid. Like, you can't convince the idiot. So
you're arguing for the bystanders. You ain't arguing for the person that's
right. Candace Owens, I got into an argument with personally. I've got and we were talking about like copy and paste replies. I was copying and pasting replies both on her public Facebook page where I was arguing with her and on a private post or not a private post, I don't make private posts, but on a post that I'd made where I was making fun of her and an idiot came in and tried to defend her. About 3 years ago, Candace Owens made a meme of herself, which is, like, I'm an egotistical bastard. OK, but it takes a special kind of something to just like meme yourself. Fuck you. OK, so she quoted herself making a meme where people call me an Uncle Tom. But if you read that book, then you would know Uncle Tom was the hero.
Oh, my God.
I read the book, bitch. Uncle Tom's not the hero.
Just die at the end. Like,
yes. Yes,
Like, Dobley dies.
Jesus.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, and I'm like, you've clearly not read this book. And I argued, and he's like, well, you don't know anything. It's like, yes, I do. I know everything. I'm smarter than everybody, okay? but I'm smarter than you. You didn't read the book. You didn't even read the Wikipedia page. Tom, the entire point of Uncle Tom's Cabin, you don't have to read it. I'm going to tell you the story of Uncle Tom's Cabin. Uncle Tom's Cabin is, among other things, about the perfect slave who does everything the white people say. He loves Jesus. He loves God. He never tries to escape. When other slaves try to escape, he says, I'm not going to tell on you, but I'm staying here and I'm waiting for master to set me free. And they fucking kill him. He's the perfect slave and they kill him anyway. That's the story of Uncle Tom's Cabin. That's it. There's nothing more to it. Now, there's also a lot about resisting, but I'm just like, you didn't read the book, because that's not. Now, she's right in that, like, people don't use Uncle Tom the way it was used in that book. It doesn't mean exactly the same thing, but it doesn't mean he's the hero. He's the victim. It's like saying, the hero of Star Wars is Ben Kenobi. No, he dies. He fucking dies. That's the point I'm talking about. So I argued with her for like a day. Argue on my behalf. That's what I can. She's such an idiot.
I'm going to tell you up front here. I love you. I'm not arguing with anybody on your behalf.
That's giving the white people too much power.
Okay.
I'm talking about the people listening when they say, what can I do? That's what you can do. Just like pitch in a little bit.
Honestly, though, it's funny you say that, because I got my master's at Chatham, and one of the girls in my program is now getting her PhD in sociology at UVA. Yeah. So she posted on her Facebook, like, should we keep Confederate statues up? And so all of these white people just started fighting on our behalf, I suppose. And I think watching that gave me more anxiety and more sexual arousal than I'd ever experienced in my life. Like, it was just a weird hodgepodge of emotions where I was like, yes, no, oh, yes, maybe, burn it down. So I don't know if we want to build on that, but
just tear down those statues, send nudes.
Wow, I have
a quick question. Caitlyn, you said you went to it was Chatham, you said?
Mm-hmm.
That's a Pittsburgh college. I want to know if you had the same experience that CMU blacks had. There was this thing, it was a period. I don't know if they're still doing it or if things have changed, but I swear all of us, at least once while walking up Forbes, got called nigger by white people in a passing car.
Oh no, I got called nigger at a get-go off of Morewood Avenue.
Okay.
So, I wasn't far off.
All right. I went to Pitt. This also happens on Pitt. It probably happens more on the Pitt campus.
Okay. I want to know if that was that a unique thing? I had a feeling.
No.
Well, and that's kind of it's sort of weird, because when people, like, I always think like the term microaggression is a little weird. It's not even so much a microaggression, like the reality of, yes, I get that, like, it's shocking to people, and I get that you want change because you've seen something horrific happen. But, like, things like, it's not even weird to, somebody posted something, a meme, ask any black person, they will tell you they remember the first time they were called the N-word. And the first thing I did when I saw that meme was I texted Jameel. And after I texted Jameel, I texted my brother, and I was like, do you remember the first time you were called the N-word? And I'm like, because I don't. Do you? Like, it's.
I remember.
I do.
Really? Okay.
I remember a time.
Yeah, I remember many times, but I don't remember the first. Yeah.
I remember one of the first.
Okay. I am not a universal experience, though. That's kind of.
I was called, the first time I was called was by my boyfriend in high school.
Wow, you got all the way to high school.
What the fuck?
Yeah. He thought that it meant an ignorant black person.
Was he white or black?
Shit. He was white, blonde hair, blue-eyed.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh man, where'd you bury the body?
We actually dated all through high school, but I did kick him in the nuts that day. So
Shit.
you learned very quickly to never use that word ever again.
Well-deserved kick to the nuts.
Yeah, good. Wow.
Was this in a naked situation that he said this?
No, we were at school before the first period. He's like, I must have made a dumb joke, and he said, "Oh, stop being a nigger." And I looked at him. Hey,
Wow.
I was like,
Fuck's sakes.
but I didn't even react. I was just like, "What do you mean by that?" And he was like, "You're being ignorant." I'm like, "Okay, elaborate on that definition." And so he was like, "Yeah, my dad said, that means an ignorant black person." I was like, "Okay,
Okay, so you do know.
Wow.
Did you know dad in the nuts too?
Yeah. But yeah, that was the first of many.
That would be the last day of the relationship for me. Yeah. I mean, just fucking no. I had a black guy drop the N-word on me at work one night, and it took the rest of the staff to keep me from murdering the motherfucker. He didn't like being told he couldn't do something, and he dropped the M-bomb on me, and I fucking went nuts. I don't know. Just not a thing. I told my brother this afternoon, "Hey, I know you're telling me a story. I don't want to hear the fucking word, dude. I want to hear the word."
Yeah, it's just.
So I remember when I was 17, and I can recall, I have never been directly called that by a white person that I can recall, or that.
Oh, I certainly have.
When I was 17, I remember the first time the word was used overtly by a white person around me that I saw. It was by a person I was going to school with. And I had gotten out of high school early, so I was going to art school. And I was just hanging out in the hallway with a group of white friends. I mean, I was the youngest person in my class. There were other black students, but not obviously not as many. It was at the Art Institute back when it was down on Penn Avenue. And there was a kid there, and he probably wasn't but 2, maybe 3 years older than me, but he was talking to some friends, and he was talking about another black classmate. And I remember everything about that conversation. I remember the context. He was jealous because that other person was really popular with girls and he wasn't. And I remember everything. And just as casually as could be, a couple things, as casually as could be, he just threw it out. He just went, "I don't know what these girls seeing that with that nigger." And the thing is, because I was so back then. Like I was so nice. I absolutely guarantee. I was just standing directly across from him. Mm-hmm. Totally forgot that his black and Marcel standing right there, because the moment he said that, I remember another friend looked at him as if to say, "Dude." And he looks at the friend as if to go, "What?" Oh, and he turned beet red. And I got to tell you, it happened so quickly. Mm-hmm. I legit didn't even realize what had happened until if a shot was fired at you, but that shot's already past you. Like, wait, what?
It takes a minute.
It really did. I always think about that moment, about how fast that happened, and maybe have had little bits of residual, because I wish I could say the thing and I did this thing. I didn't. And it wasn't because I didn't want to or didn't. I was just so stunned that happened like that. A couple years ago, the first time in every now and again, you remember that the internet exists and you can look things up. I was like, I need to look that kid up. What happened to him? Did he? And I was hoping when I remembered to look him up that because he was so arrogant and he just knew he was going to accomplish all these things. I thought, he's like, let it be none of that. Let it be none. And I looked him up.
To see his ass homeless, didn't you?
I bet he's like a lawyer or like a gynecologist.
He ended up being okay. I'll say this: by all things that I could see, like all topical things I could see, ridiculously successful, like his own advertising agency, and he's worked with a super high-end clients and all this stuff. And I found myself thinking, really? Because I remember that. Here's what I took some solace in. Like that, I would like to be able to brag that I worked with McDonald's or whatever, and he actually said he had that on his site. But I don't know what his life is like. You know? And you know what? That might have been the darkest moment of his existence. He may be a great ally right now, Do I know that for sure? Nope. Do I personally think that's the case? No, I don't think it's likely, but I'll admit, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what his life is like.
Mm-hmm.
Life might be garbage. And if that moment is any indication of what has played out over the 30 plus years since then, I'm going to guess he doesn't have any black friends in his life. And that means his life is garbage.
Uh-huh. She might have like a Topher friend. Like, you know?
Well, he might
like
have
one that he plays like the nines with, you know?
Yeah.
Like once in a blue moon.
Yeah. Or he might have a coworker who doesn't consider him a friend. He's his friend. He thinks they're cool and tight. Let me tell it. Oh, let me take a sip of my juice first. Now I got the story to tell about high school. All right, I got in a lot of fights in high school because people would start a lot of stuff, and I didn't want to fight them, but every once in a while you had to hit somebody.
Fights happen from time to time.
Happens from time to time. And I would like to preface that I'm from Pittsburgh and I was born in Akron. I have never lived in the South, so all the racist shit I've experienced has been in the North. Just for any listeners who might be thinking, oh, well, he's from the South. Of course, all the racist shit happens. Nope.
Nah.
Nope. All the times I've been in the South for family reunions and such, never been called nigger. Every time it's been in the North. So I'm in high school, right? Minding my own business. And this dirtbag metalhead in a denim vest with the heavy metal patches on it just shoves by me in the hallway. Shoulders me into a locker, not into the open locker, but like into the locker door. Says nigger and continues on. And I stood there like Marcel said. It's like, wait a minute. Did he just say? Wait, no. Yeah, he did. All right. I guess this is gonna have to happen then. So I'm walking to class, art class, with the lightest, friendliest teacher in the entire school. Dude couldn't have weighed more than $120. So, and I had hit nearly my full height. I'm 6'5", so I was close to that. I walk into class, right? I go into art class. The dirtbag was in the same class as me. He sat in the front. I sat in the back. So I'm sitting at my desk. It's like, okay, what are you going to do? All right. I took my glasses off, handed them to my friend at the next desk, and was like, hold on to these for me. I'll see you in 3 days. I knew it was going to happen. Got up from my chair, walked up behind this white boy, and I ain't even ashamed to say it wasn't a sucker punch. It was a sucker chokehold. I tried to strangle the life out of that boy. I just yoked him from behind. Got him. So he's struggling. He turns around, throws a punch. The only time in my life I have ever caught a punch thrown at me. By the way, never do that. There are a bunch of small bones in your hand. They are real easy to break.
They're called the hamate bones.
But yeah, just adrenaline and reflexes. Pop, caught that boy's hand. He threw the other one, blocked it. I'm about to yoke him again, throwing blows. This $120 art teacher got between us, separated us. I do not know how. Was in the middle of sending us to the principal's office when I left. I knew what the deal was. I knew what was happening. I went to the principal's office, explained what happened. I'm about 90% sure the principal was like, I got to send you home for 3 days for suspension, but I understand. So I get home, tell my mother, who I'm fairly certain was, if not an actual Black Panther, like super, super militant. I mean, I was at Kent State in the womb. I was literally in utero. Things happened. I got home, thought it happened. He was like, all right, cool. You want some ice cream? Ice cream. And that is some positive motivation right there.
Yeah. The only time I ever got suspended was for something similar, for beating up a kid. And that kid today is the biggest MAGA asshole I know online. I follow him online just so I can know what's in his head. And, every once in a while I'll read it and like, I'll talk to my mom and tell her, what he so-and-so posted. And then she's like, oh God. And then my mom will go, I'm so glad you beat that kid up.
I feel like I want to tell a story now, just because the outcome, the end, the postscript is so good.
Tell him that.
I know Mav knows this story. When I lived in Pittsburgh 20 years ago for a couple of years.
Okay.
And that's where Chris and I met. I was living in Pittsburgh, got engaged to a white girl. My parents, the only thing they agreed on in about 30 years after they split up was telling me this is going to end in tears when they found out that she was Pentecostal.
Oh.
So, yeah, sorry. So anyways, we're engaged, we're living together, everything is going fine until I finally meet her parents. Okay. So these two almost stereotype Kentucky hillbillies meet me. It's friendly. It's kind of low key. It's a Wednesday night, so I leave to go work out. When I come back, my fiance is literally just sitting on the stairs and crying. And I ask her what's wrong. And she says her parents are mad at her. What could they be mad at her for? I wonder. So her parents accused her of lying to them. What could you have lied about? Well, Dad said, you said he was Canadian. Oh, shit. See where this is going? Folks? She said, yes, he is. He's from Toronto. Her mom said, how can he be black and Canadian? Now,
did she have the stats?
No, she didn't have Wikipedia. I have Wikipedia in the year 2000. So hold on. So, this is spring of 2000. They have a friend of the family that they push her towards. Now, you have to understand, she was 20 years old. She was in the process of her first divorce. I helped her deliver the papers to the court. They were pushing her onto this other guy who was a friend of the family and had a little bit of money, a modest amount of money. So in the end, pressure from her family did break us up. They said, come with me. We'll move to Toronto. Family is there. Friends are there. We can start a new life. And just really brainwashing bullshit, it was driving her crazy. So I said, okay, let's take a step back. And we ended up picking up. In the years since, recap, in the 20 years since, ended up marrying the other dude. I found out that within the last few years, second husband died, mom died, father died. She married the second husband's cousin.
That's weird.
If you go to prowrestlingtees.com, I sell a t-shirt. I sell a t-shirt there with the giant slogan on the front: outlive your enemies. Oh, shit. I swear to Jesus that is where that slogan comes from.
Normally after a discussion, we've resolved nothing, but listening to all these stories and hearing everybody's background, and this group, we all come from a bunch of different backgrounds. About the only thing I think that we for sure have in common is we're all black.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think the thing that gets resolved is black folk got each other's backs no matter what.
Yeah. Well, there's no. And I don't.
Most of us.
Yeah, I don't know that they're. Yeah, not Candace Owens, fucker.
No.
No. But I don't know. I don't know that there's a lot to resolve. And I think for my friend that said, what is there a way? How do I help? How do I be an ally? I just want to point out something in that conversation Jameel and I were talking about earlier. What ended up happening was the person said that, the person we were arguing with said, well, I've never been racist. I'm not a racist person. And I made the standard analogy. I was like, it's not about whether you think you're racist or not. If you, and this is basically what I think you can try to do. I hate when people say, people of color can't be racist. Black people can be racist. Black people are racist all the time. Black people are so racist sometimes that we're racist against other black people sometimes. OK, so, we can certainly, so it's not about whether you feel like you're being racist or not. If I bump somebody in the middle of the street and I knock them over, it doesn't matter whether I tried to knock them over or not. What matters is that they fell down. And if you fall down, then it's nice to like sort of help the person up. Right. That's kind of what I was saying. And if I'm telling you that you knocked me over, don't argue with me that no, you didn't. Just say, I'm sorry. And that's basically what I ask of people of the MAGA types. And they're not going to do it. I get it. They're not. But that's what I'm asking for. I'm saying have the human decency for me. If I tell you that I've been knocked down by you, don't say, no, you didn't. You're just not on the floor and you don't realize it.
You're on the ground.
Yeah, I know when I've been knocked over. I figured this out. I didn't pass the second grade. OK, I have an education. But the other thing that happened that was kind of weird there was Jameel, you quoted me on Facebook. You quoted that little story, which was which was nice because, like the person deleted the conversation when they got sick of my black ass. But another friend of Jameel's asked a question, which I thought was a really good question. She asked, well, how do we fix this? As though I have a solution as to how to fix racism, and like I don't. And here's what I think we can resolve. And here's how you be a good ally. You realize that we're not going to fix racism or sexism or transphobia or we're not going to fix any of these problems in our lifetime because they can't be fixed. What we can do is we can continually work to make things better and, do your best and then be okay with that. And be prepared to make mistakes. We're not perfect. None of us are perfect. I don't need for anything to be perfect. Just try your best and try to help and be okay with it not being perfect and continuing to need work. And for God's sake, when a man kneels on the sideline, don't make it about what you want. Listen to what he's saying. That's what you do. That's how you make the world better. Thank you for listening to us today. That's all I can really ask of anybody.
And free pizza. I'm just going to reiterate that.
I don't like pizza. So, I mean, I'm allergic to milk and dairy. So, I'll take the $50 that Derrick suggested.
Swapping food product for you, man.
No, I really want the $50.
I can say no to $50.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to thank all of my guests for joining us today. I'll go down the line. Caitlyn, anything you want to promote?
Nothing particularly. I just, one thing I've noticed from all the protests is let's keep the conversations around race going. Mm-hmm. Let's plugging away and keep talking about what makes us uncomfortable.
What about you, Derrick?
Find me on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, Derrick L. Weston, because I'm not creative. For those of you who are in faith circles, I produce two podcasts. One is on food and faith. It's the Food and Faith podcast. And the other one is Pub Theology, where we sit around, drink beers, and talk about current events through a theological lens. That's on a summer hiatus, but you can check out both of those.
They'll be linked in the show notes. Jameel, what about you?
Thank you.
I mean, this might be coming out of left field. Obviously, Black Lives Matters. Take care of yourself. You got that Rona out here going on. All that said, I'm a master gardener of Allegheny County. So if you have any interest in plants or your lawn, planting stuff outside, planting annuals, planting perennials, we are still giving people free advice, doing research for you for your gardening needs. There will be a link in the show notes. It's our whole thing. It's volunteer. We want to get people planting things. If that is a way for you to cope, to deal with the stress of everything that's going on right now, give it a try. Give us a contact, and we can help you out.
Yep. I'm about to take my Master Gardener's test for Baltimore County.
Oh, word?
Yep.
All right. Oh, well, yep. Love to have you in the club, man.
Kingdom.
Okay, I do a podcast called the Handsome Genius Club Radio Show
with an amazing logo.
Thank you.
I designed the logo for people.
I had a friend help me work on it a few years back. A very nice guy. This year, as kind of a challenge to myself, I am doing the podcast daily. So Monday through Friday, I yap about nerd stuff and social matters and weird old stories between 35 and 45 minutes a day. So I get the feeling that tomorrow's show is going to be really short. I'm talked out, man. You can find that at handsomegeniusclub.com. You can also find it on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Google Play. And all my social media is tuned into the same frequency. So Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and the all important Patreon help me keep the lights on. The username is My Name is Kingdom. All one word. My Name is Kingdom on any of that social crap.
And Marcel.
Boy, all right. I'm going to try and sum this up real fast. By the way, as gardeners, that's amazing. You guys are amazing. That is so great. I'm going to be in touch with you. That's amazing. As I pointed out earlier, I work at the Holocaust Center of Pittsburgh. We have an original comic book that we produce called Chutzpah, Superheroes of the Holocaust. But more than that, the Holocaust Center is engaged in all sorts of conversations and programming with regional partners. These conversations are intersectional. And so follow the Holocaust Center, follow our programming, get in touch with us, because we need, these are the conversations we need to have right now. I am the board president of the Toonseum, a local nonprofit that champions comics as a tool for social change. So please get in touch with the Toonseum. Look for us. Look for the programming we have. We just did recently a comic book drop-off programming event that was in direct response to the COVID-19 sheltering. We were able to distribute comics to children in 30 communities across the Pittsburgh region. Really proud of that. And, we want to make sure that we have as many people of color involved in our work as possible. So please get in touch with the Toonseum. I just contributed some artwork to the Pittsburgh City paper. They have just released a coloring book that is supporting them. They're over the top, completely ridiculous, yinzerific coloring book. Order a coloring book. Please order a coloring. There's a number of local artists that contributed artwork to it. In free press, and we need people who are out there on the truth. So please buy a coloring book, buy one for a friend, buy for several friends. There's that. And then lastly, I'm a local comics artist. Support me. You can find me on marcelwalker.com. You can find me all over the social medias. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, and I have a Patreon. So find my Patreon and support local comics artist and nonprofit wizard Marcel Walker. Word.
Very nice.
I need to get our Patreon up and running. I'll work on that. In the meantime, since it's not up, we do the announcement, which I would normally save for next week, but since when the regular hosts are here, but as of this week, this show is in addition to on all the regular places you can get it. We're now on YouTube, so you can download the show on YouTube. But in the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter at Chris Maverick or on my blog at www.chrismaverick.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, all of the places, always at VoxPopcast. You can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcast or Stitcher or Spotify or apparently now YouTube, as I said. So if you enjoy the show, and we certainly hope you do, especially when we cover important topics like this, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. And in fact, this week especially, if you're listening to me, please go on iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. Click the 5 stars and write a little something about how much you like the show and whether it's important. And I'm begging you to do this because if I know anything, it's that if I tackle a topic like this, we're going to probably get some negative reviews from assholes who are like, oh, you're talking about racism and justice and there's no racism. 1 star. And it's probably going to hurt my ratings. So please, for me and for the other regular host of the show, pump up our ratings. 5 stars. We need it. We're going to need it definitely a lot. That's something you can do to help.
Yo, Mav.
Yeah.
Another comment real quick.
Yeah.
On guarantee that the racists lower your your worst reviews. If any of y'all have not seen it, it is particularly timely to watch CSA, Confederate States of America. It's a documentary about what if the Confederacy won the Civil War. It's real good. I know some folks who hadn't seen it before, and I'm like, yeah, y'all need to watch this. In fact, I'm gonna watch it again. And I'm gonna drink my drink out of my Darky brand toothpaste shot glass.
You're gonna get this show canceled, and I control it. That's anyway. But yes, no, we could definitely that helps. You know, when people get 5-star reviews, it helps a lot just in general because it helps us move up the iTunes rankings, which is actually good for this show, especially if people are going to hurt the show. And, you know, like and subscribe to us on YouTube. You know, again, there's almost no subscribers on YouTube because I hadn't even told anybody before just now. This is going to be the show that launches it. So, you know, go on to YouTube, hit the bell or like or subscribe or whatever the fuck people do there. I would like to thank Shayna Watson, who had to go in the middle of their show. She showed up late and then she had to leave early. So just on her behalf, you can follow TheoCon online, also linked in the show notes for information about that. I would like to thank Maximilian of Thoughtform Music for our epic theme song, building ever so more epically and playing us out. I'd definitely once again like to thank you at home for listening because, you know, this is an important topic to me, obviously, because, you know, I'm a black man and I don't want to be killed by police. And if I am, burn the country to the ground. But, you know, thank you for giving us this chance. Hopefully it was helpful in some way, shape or form, or at least entertaining to hear us like sort of work through some things. So thank you once again to all of my guests for joining this week. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Hi, everybody.
Bye.
We are African, and we happen to be in America. We're not American. We are people who formerly were Africans who were kidnapped and brought to America. Our forefathers weren't the Pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us.
As far as I'm concerned, they could burn this bitch to the ground. And it still wouldn't be enough. And they are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.